Hey, we are live. Hey, welcome. My name is Dave. I will be your host here tonight for the camera store, and thank you for tuning in tonight. We are building, I'm messing this one up big already. Hey, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. We are building your photography brand and defining your voice with Scott Bakken. Now, this event is sponsored by Canon Canada, so if you registered for this event, we will be sending out an email with some exclusive Canon offers that we just can't list online. Now, don't worry, if you didn't get onto that email list, you can do it tonight here. And it's very simple. We'll send you the information there. Simply email Evelyn at thecamerastore.com. That's EVELYN at thecamerastore.com. Now, there is a bunch of work going on behind the scenes here as well. Tonight we have Gary, Jeff, and Annabeth, who's joining us for the very first time. So we're excited to have her along, as well as Riley, monitoring the social networks on the outside of the store here. Now, part of what I like about live streams is the ability to interact with everybody here. Now, it's great. We are monitoring the chat rooms. I'm going to be getting some questions and answers ready for the end of the episode here, so we can have a great question and answer period. We also have Russ Brown from Canon Canada joining us tonight, so he's going to have some more gear-related questions. If you have anything like that, we can certainly press him for some more information on new gear coming up, because I always like to make him squirm a little bit. It's always a lot of fun. But if you're not familiar with our guest tonight, Scott Bakken is a photographer and a Canon Canada Ambassador. He shares his passion for travel and adventure through his social channels and blog. Scott also leads Socality and a creative community, bringing people together around unique experiences where they can create and connect together. Past clients have included Rogers, GMC, Eddie Bauer, Google, Ford, American Express, and more. So Scott, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I'm excited to be doing this with you.
Yeah, no, this is it's always very exciting when you're doing this, and I obviously was a little bit nervous, so maybe it's you, I think.
You never know. What's funny, though, is we're online, but we're actually in the same city, not too far apart. But I'm thankful for the internet to be able to do this for us.
Yeah, so what are you going to be talking to us about tonight?
You know, I'm talking about building your online voice. I'm going to be talking about some other things as well, about creating your brand, establishing your brand, and some ways that people can step into opportunities using photography, social media. I get a lot of questions about how do I turn this into a full-time gig? How do I quit my 9 to 5? I heard someone say the other day, I kind of miss my 9 to 5 because when you're freelancing, it's kind of 24/7. And so although you can be your own boss, it comes with its own set of problems. But I'm going to be talking about building your online voice and establishing that, and how you can build your own brand, and talk about some other things I've learned through Socality and my own creative journey.
Awesome. Well, don't look up my website because it is absolutely horrible. So I'm actually very interested in tonight's. So let's get right into your presentation.
Presentation.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, you ready for me to screen share? We
go.
tested this earlier, so hopefully this works. Here we go. We're moving into the slideshow. Can you see this?
We can, yes.
All right, I'm excited. If at any point in time my camera freezes, please let me know, because it has a tendency to do that, and then I just end up looking like that for 2 minutes. So let me know, and I'll stop and start the camera. So I'm excited to be with you guys and everybody listening, wherever you're coming from, YouTube, Zoom World, Zoomland, wherever you are. Welcome to this workshop. I'm excited to talk about how to build your brand online, and tell a little bit more about my story and how I got to where I am. It's been a really exciting journey, and I've been able to learn a lot along the way. So I'm excited for tonight. If you've got questions, I'm looking forward to answering them. And hopefully, as I chat tonight and tell a little bit about my story, tonight's a little bit more story focused, and a little bit tips and tricks versus like skill. I recently, from a recent job I went on with the Royal Caribbean, I went to on an Alaskan cruise, and there I am at sunset, and it was so exciting just to do a job, because for 2 years I basically stayed at home. Love Alberta, love my home, but it was sure nice to do something, and so there I am on a cruise. So a little bit about me. My name is Scott. I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I am 44 years old. I'm going to be 45 this year, so celebrating that. And, I got married in 2002. My wife and I moved to Sydney, Australia for 6 years, and had a great time in the sunshine and beaches and beautiful sunsets. And then in 2010, we came back to Calgary, Canada. And it was a bit of a shock. I'm just going to say it because I hadn't seen snow in 6 years because every time we came to visit, it was always summer here. And so when we moved back, really cold, I was just like readjusting. And the other thing that happened is it was on the cusp of social media when we were in Australia. When we first moved there, we had to talk to our friends and family through email. And then Facebook came on the scene, and that was really exciting for us because we could start to see pictures of family and friends, and you felt a little bit more connected. And then the iPhone came on the scene, and we still didn't have FaceTime, but it was really great because you could start texting. And then when we moved back to Canada, this thing called Instagram was on the scene, and I'd been a little bit into social media. Twitter had launched, Facebook had launched, but Instagram was the first platform that really connected you. Facebook was all about your friends and family, but Instagram was kind of the first social platform which was about connecting with people that you had no idea who they were and they had no idea who you were. It was this kind of way to establish a new community. And so when we came back from Australia, one of the things that was happening to me is I was missing my community that I had established in Australia, and being away from Canada for 6 years. That was all. I didn't have a real strong community here. So I traditionally was thinking about connecting to community. Traditionally, you go out to a coffee shop, wherever you go, you meet people, that's it. You build friendship. I was struggling. And so what I did was I found myself going out into the mountains and taking photos. And I was like, nobody knows where this place is. Like, I was just living in Sydney, Australia. No one cares where Calgary, Alberta is. Started taking photos on my iPhone, and iPhone 4, and posting them on Instagram. What was happening as I was doing that, just looking to connect, looking to try and reconnect personally into my own surroundings. And what was happening is I started to find people on this app, Instagram, that were taking beautiful images of landscapes. And I myself, people were finding me. And I found that quite shocking almost, because I was like, this is not what I was expecting. I was used to Facebook where you just post for your family and friends. And they're like, oh, hi, Scott. But what was happening was like, wow, this is beautiful. Where you live is spectacular. Where is this? And I found like this intrigue coming around this place where I didn't necessarily want it to be. And I found that extremely exciting. So I was like, man, every time I post a photo, I'm gaining some followers. I'm finding new people. I'm discovering people. They're discovering me. So I realized I really like this taking photo stuff because it's connecting me to people. And obviously I was enjoying being outside. I was taking photos. I was capturing these beautiful places, but I was seeing where I lived with new eyes. I didn't want to be here. All of a sudden I started to go, wow, this is quite spectacular, because I couldn't see what was in front of me because I was blinded by my own disinterest in being here. But what happened is I started to fall in love with the landscape. I started to fall in love with my own backyard, and I started to fall in love with photography. So I just began to take more photos and more photos and more photos. I came up with the concept of Socality, which I'll talk about that after. But that idea was about, well, if you love this place, why don't you come here and we can experience it together? So I wanted to take what was happening on my online experience and bring that to life, because I was looking for community. I was finding community online. But then I thought, how can I take this and make it real and in person? So that was happening. Then another thing was happening. I was growing a social media following. I found that kind of shocking, because I'm like, this is interesting. And this is a new thing. I'm gaining these followers. And so what was happening is brands started reaching out to me. It's like, can you shoot for this product? And I'm thinking, like, I wasn't calling myself a photographer. I was calling myself an Instagrammer, which I think a lot of people were back in the day. And I was like, wow, I'm getting, oh, there I am, frozen again. So see, I got to stop video, start video. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I'm getting offers, but I don't even have a real camera. I'm shooting on an iPhone. So I literally went and thought the only brand that stuck out of my mind was Canon. I associated that very strongly with photography. I think I had point and shoot or something years ago. And went and bought a 70D. And I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, I got to figure this thing out because I really want to get more into better stills and better imagery. So I basically just started hanging out with other people I was meeting on the app in Calgary and shooting with them, asking questions, learning. I wasn't really into YouTube, so I was just kind of like learning by doing. So as things went on, started to get some work, started to take photos, started to move away from my iPhone, moving into obviously the Canon, learning that whole process, editing, everything like that. Everything I learned through photography was really about standing next to people and asking questions, learning by doing. We used to call ourselves, oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
We still have your introduction slide on the screen there. Was there...
Oh, I'm still introducing myself.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're not missing some great photos.
I'm not done yet. But yes, I will go on to the next slide. You're tired of staring at me. But I, real quick, I can't remember what I was saying, is everything I learned was about doing it with each other, standing beside people, asking questions. So I feel like if you're watching this tonight and you might think, well, I'm really glad I tuned in, I want to encourage you. Everyone starts somewhere and you can learn by doing it. So that's a little bit more about me. So yes, I will move my slide. It's frozen. And now it's frozen. Oh, there I am. Okay, meet my family. So here's my family. And so, now I got so excited there. There's my wife, Jessica, our daughter, Sydney, our son, Cruz, and his puppy, who he cannot be without. And there we are enjoying the Banff Gondola, which is, if you've never been to Alberta, you need to go there. It's an awesome place. Okay. There, you know what? My thing is skipping all over. For those watching who are not from Alberta, if you're watching from Alberta, you know how awesome it is. But for those not from Alberta, I live in Alberta, Canada. This is one of our most famous spots, Lake Louise in the background. It's a beautiful province, home to the Rocky Mountains. Places like Banff, Lake Louise, and Jasper National Park are some of our most stellar places. Of course, there's other great places in Alberta, but those places are pretty awesome. People come from all over the world just to discover them. So this is just some of the clients that I've had the opportunity over the years to work with. And they're not all here, but Travel Alberta, Rogers. Rogers was actually my first job. So I will talk about that in 2 seconds because I think that's an interesting story. Tourism Germany, Canon, obviously, Pursuit, who run the gondola and some other great experiences in Banff, CIBC, Eddie Bauer, GMC, Tourism Tahiti, Taylor Stitch, just a couple of the brands I've been able to work with. Rogers was my first one. They just really liked my work back in 2015. And they had called me, and I didn't recognize the number, but I answered, and they said, don't hang up, this is going to sound crazy. We're calling from a telecom company in Canada. We want to send you and your family on a holiday, and then on the 6th day, we want to film a national commercial for this product. And I thought that this was wild. I didn't believe it. But I just said yes, and then they sent me email after email. It turned out it was Rogers. They flew us to San Francisco. We filmed a commercial for Roam Like Home. After that commercial aired, they said, we loved your images so much that you took. We want to hire you to shoot our next billboard, national billboard and in-store campaign. So pretty much the biggest job of my life happened out of that, and I ended up doing a lot of work for Rogers, and so that was an exciting time in my life. Where you can find me on Instagram. There's some of my followers. And on TikTok now. I was a skeptic of TikTok when it first launched. I literally said on Facebook, if you follow my Facebook, I said, I don't think there's one piece of valuable content on TikTok. But I think in the early days, I think I might have been accurate. But things have changed, and people have populated the platform. It's a great platform. One thing I love about TikTok is the algorithm does the work for you. Instagram, you have to let people find you. TikTok, the app will find people for you to follow you. And so if you are focusing on your storytelling and your creativity, it will find interested people and it will help you grow a following. So I highly encourage you as a creator, if you're not on TikTok, get on it. It is a great app that helps you. So there you go. So this is Socality. Obviously, these are just a few pictures. So this was stemmed and started from my own journey of me being in Alberta all alone by myself, taking photos, longing to connect with community, brought people together, and we held our very first event in 2014. We had over 300 people come from all over the world, including New Zealand, Finland, all over the States, 22 states exactly. And we took people to the mountains in yellow school buses, and we had a great time. We've grown up since then, and we actually do have also have a great partnership with Canon Canada. We are able to host elevated events across the country, bringing people together. And now that restrictions are lifting, we'll be able to bring people back together. We just had an event in Calgary. We have an event coming up in Toronto, and so I would encourage you sign up for Socality.org, and we will keep you posted on all events coming up. Bringing people together. And with Canon, we're able to have a lot of gear at those events. We've worked a lot with Camera Store, and that's been great. and where people can sign out gear and use it for events. And there we are at Lake Louise, and there we are in Washington. And those are just a few pictures for you. All right. Let's see if this switch slides. It feels like my computer is... Okay, so hopefully this doesn't change. Tonight we're going to be talking about building your brand online, establishing your online voice. We're also going to talk about a little about creating and developing your community and networking and creating opportunities, and how you as a creator can grow in your skill and your gift, and at the same time monetize and move forward into the things that you want to do. So I'll just if there's any questions at any point in time, Dave, just feel free to interject. So let's start with building your brand online. All right, so there I am standing at Little Beehive, Lake Louise. This was actually a shot for Eddie Bauer. So I want to talk about three things here with building your online voice. Number one, you got to establish your online voice, who you are and the way you sound. Obviously, there's lots of forms of social media. There's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's Twitter now is really taking off, especially with the NFT photography community. Obviously, you have YouTube and other channels, and some of them are audible, some of them are visual. They all have their different ways and mediums. But establishing your online voice is more than just the way you sound. It's what you make people feel when they see or hear or experience your content. And I think it's really important that you need to decide how you want to sound in this day and age. Every time someone follows you on social media, they're giving real estate to you in their feed, wherever that feed may be. And they are choosing to follow you because they like or connecting with, or they resonate with the way you sound. And that is, are you upbeat? Are you positive? Are you encouraging? Are you inspiring? Do you bring tips and tricks? Are you an educator? Do you bring these epic landscapes? Do you inspire travel? Are you a mummy blogger? Whatever it is, you need to establish your online voice. And there's lots of things that happen in our world. We've seen it lately. And then how are you going to sound when it comes to these types of things that are happening around you? Are you encouraging? Are you negative? Are you divisive? All of these things are super important because you have to establish what it is that you're going to sound like, because that is going to attract that style of person or that kind of audience to you. So establishing your online voice is really about you being intentional into the things that you want to say and do and create. So when I go create an image or create a TikTok or create a reel or create a video, it's got to feel and sound like me. It's got to be part of my brand. And my brand, I've got a family. I live in Alberta and I like to travel and I like to encourage tourism, but I like to encourage accessible tourism. So, there are people that love to go backcountry and escape for 9 days in the wilderness. And they love that. That's their thing. That's not my thing. I think that's beautiful and it's wonderful, but that's not authentic to me. I'm not saying I'm not up for it, but I'm just saying I like to encourage accessible travel. So I get a lot of comments on where is this hike or how can I do this? And I like to encourage people that these are accessible things that you can actually experience these things yourself. So for me, I'm all about family travel, accessible travel, very encouraging. I try to use my voice to bring people together. I don't like to post or create content that's divisive or jarring. I like to, that's just my thing, but that I've established my online voice. So whatever it is for you, you need to build your brand. When it comes to building your brand, establishing your online voice, and you will find that that's going to draw the right partners to you. That's going to bring the right, I get a lot of questions, Scott, how do I work with brands? You can send pitch decks, you can do all of that. But if you're posting and you're sharing, trust me, they'll find you and they will come running and they'll align and say, we really like your style. We really like what you're doing. And that's going to help you draw the right people into working with you. Number two, you need to connect and engage with others. This is really, really important. I'm always surprised when sometimes I ask a question on my social media and someone comments and I'm like, where have you been? They're following, they're like silent followers. And some people like to do that. They just like to follow silently. But, connecting and engaging with others and making yourself known, I think is really important when it comes to building your brand, because it helps you get out there. It helps bring exposure to your work, because maybe you post a comment, they see it, they click on your feed and go, oh, this work of this person's really cool. So it helps you get into connecting with others, and some people are shy. So, a like, a comment, a message, a DM, however it is that you want to engage, I think it's really important to kind of show up especially as a creator, if you want to grow in your creative skills and building your brand online, defining your voice, it's really important. There's some people who just comment on every single post of mine, and they're super encouraging. And it's like, I'm so thankful for them. And so connecting, engaging with others online and then in real life, I think is super important. When you have the opportunity to meet people at a meetup, an event, an experience, it's nice to just realize that and connect in person, and also being authentic, because it's nice when you see, wow, that person is the same online as they are in person. I think that's super important. Consistency is key. And another thing about building your brand and establishing your online voice is telling a cohesive story. So for me, when I first discovered photography, it was really out of my own desperate need to connect back into my community. And so I started taking photos of my own backyard because that was what was near me. And as I grew in my following, people were really connecting with the story I was telling. And so it was really important for me to tell a cohesive story. I realized these people wanted to see epic beauty and epic mountains. And that's why I'm thankful for Instagram stories, because it allows me to share other things of my life. Not that I can't share other things on my feed, but when people, like I said earlier about real estate, when they are following me, they are following me because they like what they see in my feed. So they chose to click follow. And so I want to be consistent with what I'm telling. So then they go, oh, Scott Bakken, I want to follow him because I like his imagery. I like his colors. I like his TikToks. I like his reels. Whatever it is I'm sharing, it feels cohesive. It feels like I'm taking them on a journey, and it feels like I'm pointing them somewhere. And so I think telling a cohesive story. So whatever your craft is, I talked earlier about if you're a mummy blogger, obviously there's lots of things like fitness, whatever it is you're doing, you're telling, as long as you're cohesive, that's going to help draw, like attracts like. And so as the more cohesive and consistent you are, it's going to just draw other people into your story. So why should people follow you? Whether it's social media or however this is looking, we follow people for a few reasons. One, because you're a celebrity. All right, so Kim Kardashian launches on Instagram. She's not going to have a problem. She doesn't have to concern us, and she probably doesn't have to be cohesive at all. But her online voice is super important. But she's going to attract followers just simply because she is a celebrity. Two, your family and friends. They're obviously going to follow you. If they don't, there's a problem. But usually your family and friends follow you out of obligation. So we can consider that. But another reason why people would follow you is they don't have a clue who you are, but you create great work. And this was the whole thing about how in the discovery days, why would people follow me? Why would I follow anybody? I enjoy their work. I enjoy the content they're creating on a consistent basis. And this is where most of us will fall, unless you're a celebrity. Hello, nice to meet you. And my mom, are you watching, Mom? But you create great work. And so this is like every time you think about putting something out there, think about the value that you're bringing to your audience. And so creating great work and telling engaging stories will cause people to follow you. And they'll get them to share your work and stay engaged. Providing value and information will help you grow. And so that's going to help define and build your brand as you grow and you move forward. So next slide. We're moving on now to creating and developing community. And like I said, Dave, if you ever have anything, just feel free to interject. Other than that, I'm just going to keep talking.
And when there's a good question that comes up, or we have a bunch of stuff happening, but no, it's impressive to listen to you already.
I love that. All right. We're having a good time. So creating and developing community. This to me is one of the most important things, because I know the title of this was Building Your Online Voice. And I'm talking a little bit about other things that I think are really important, things that I've learned over the years. So obviously establishing your brand, the story you want to tell is super important. But creating and developing community online and in person is essential to any creator. It's vital because we are built and designed for relationships. And this is why when we do events and we bring people together, just that tangible interaction, I think that's why COVID was so hard, and for many reasons. But I think just when we couldn't interact in person, just the simple things, it was really, really difficult. I think we saw how important it is to be together. Creating and developing community is so important, especially because as creators, we feed off of each other. We learn from each other. We get pushed and encouraged by each other. We see someone's work like, man, that photo is so insane. It inspires me to be better. Or, man, that video is funny. Or that way, I really want to create that kind of content. We learn by being in community. So I want to talk about creating, developing community. Here we are at the Calgary Library. This was one of our last events before COVID shut us down. In partnership with Canon Canada. It was a great event. This is a beautiful space in Calgary. If you have never been here, it was on Time Magazine's top 100 most beautiful architectural places in the world. And it certainly is stunning. It's the Calgary Public Library, and it's amazing if you ever get a chance to visit it. It's beautiful, and it's very photographable. So there we are. We had a great event. And a couple of things about community that I want to talk about here are sip of water, collaboration over competition. It's so important that this value is with you when it comes to building your brand, building your online voice, and establishing your own creative sphere. It's interesting, the world is a big world, but with every niche, it gets smaller and smaller, and everybody always knows somebody. And it's interesting when people are talking about reputation and about individuals, like, that person's amazing, they're so awesome to work with, or that person's really difficult. The word gets out pretty fast, and the world's actually smaller than we think. But collaboration over competition is really important, because when it comes to creative success, it's really important to work together. Part of my success has been because I've surrounded myself with people who are much better at things than me. I love photography. I love taking photos, but I am not by any means trying to be, nor would I ever claim to be, the best photographer out there. I've got a lot to learn. And I just love capturing experiences and sharing them with people in an authentic way. But there are people that are so superior. We do these events and people come and take these images. I'm like, how did you even come up with that shot? It's so incredibly awesome. It's amazingly, the composition's amazing, everything. But part of me is just like, man, I just love being surrounded by so many people who are way better at things than me, because I feel like where I'm weak, they're strong, and where I'm strong, they're weak, and together we can do cool things. And so when it comes to building your brand and getting out there in your work, I think collaboration over competition is really important. Thinking about, how can we work together? Maybe there's a videographer that has a strength and you can bring them into a project, or maybe there's someone who's really great at reels and you're not so good. Work with them. Learn to come together and collaborate. And I think when it'll establish that whole community presence. Another thing is inviting others in, bringing people into your story. I think, when I started Instagram and saw that whole early days of people coming together, and then what happened is people started getting brand work, people getting established in their own thing. A couple things were happening. Some people were drawing into each other, and some people were isolating themselves and establishing, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But I think it's really important that as we grow and scale into your own voice, that you're constantly inviting people into the story. You're constantly learning, asking questions. There's so many things. We've seen it very clearly, even with how things have changed with Zoom and access to other people in ways that we never thought would be possible because of COVID. And I think it's important to keep inviting people into your story. And when you go create, when you post, and when you're putting things on social media, invite people in to be a part of your journey. Make them feel that it's not about, I think there's always two ways of social media. It's here I am, and it's there you are. And here I am is like, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm Mr. Influencer over here. And there you are is all about creating content to discover other people and bring them into the story. And I think people really like that when you create content that feels valuable to them and brings them into the story. And I think that's probably one of the better ways when it comes to community. And the other thing is authenticity and sincerity. I think when it comes to community online and when you're sharing your online voice and telling your story, you don't want to give away everything, because I don't necessarily think the overshare is a healthy place to be. But I definitely think being authentic and sincere to the content that feels real to you. I talked earlier about disappearing for the 9 days. That's great. And there's people that love that. And then there's other people that do the whole, there's different styles of photography and landscape and fitness and fashion and all that. I think you got to be authentic to the things you like. You have to ask yourself at the end of the day, do I like what I'm sharing? Do I like what I'm creating? Do I like the story I'm telling to my community? And if you love it, it's going to resonate. If you love it, and it's not about followers, it's not about algorithm, it's about being authentic to yourself. Because at the end of the day, you got to live with it. You got to post that and go, you know what? I'm really happy that exists on my website. I'm really happy that is on my portfolio. And so authenticity and sincerity. And then, like I said, when people meet you in real life, they're going to go, that person is exactly who I thought they were, you know? And there's nothing more disappointing than when you meet someone, you're like, oh, I was so excited to meet you, but, you know? So I think when it comes to, yeah, you get that a lot?
Happens far too often.
Dave has some experiences, people. So, but it's true. It's a disappointment, right? It's a disappointment when you meet these people, and you want to be like, man, you are who I thought you were. And so I want to share the things that I'm passionate about authentically to me. And so inviting people in is really important, and being authentic and sincere. And community, at the end of the day, is going to help establish your online voice and your brand, because at the end of the day, these are the people that are going to cheer you on and be behind you all the time. And so I'm so thankful for those people. Collaboration over competition. I can't express how important it is. Moving on. Okay, here we go. Talking now about networking opportunities. I think this is really crucial. I get a lot of questions, a lot of DMs about how people can step into opportunity. Naturally, I'm a connector. That's one of my strengths. If you do that Strength Finders book or whatever the personality test you do, mine is definitely, I'm an extroverted person. I'm a networker. I'm a connector. I'm a dreamer. I'm always thinking about what we can do together. And so that's part of my strength. I would say even more than being a photographer is bringing people together. And so I love doing that. But to me, photography and art and content creation does that. It does bring people together. And so that's why I love it so much. But here's the thing about when people have their own brand and they're developing their work. I don't think I said this earlier, but I'll save it because it's probably in the presentation. But it's not what you know, it's who you know. As annoying as it sounds, it's really, really true. It's not what you know, it's who you know. I've seen a lot of people who have gotten a lot of opportunities simply because of who they know. They're still gifted and they still have the skill, but they're just networked in. And there's a lot of people out there that their work is insane and they don't have the clientele or the opportunities that other people have, because there are people that are just intentional about getting out there. And I think it's so important that when you have work, whether it's a portfolio or whether you got to get out there and get yourself known, and not in a way of like rubbing shoulders just to smooth, but it's more like you got to get out there. You know, Camera Store is doing events, we're doing events, and that's number 2. Get out there, start coming to these events, start handing out your card, start going out for coffee with people, start showcasing what you can do. Make yourself known, get out there. Like I said, on social, leave a comment, DM people, reach out to people, you know, and start asking questions and just say, hey, what are the chances that I could come shoot with you? Or, hey, I'm going to the mountains, would you like to go together? Just start getting out there, and people be like, oh man, this person's really fun to hang out with. Let's do a job together. And so and there's times where people ask me, Scott, do you have anybody that would be great with this? And I say, oh yeah, what about this person? And it's just simply because I know them. And so I really want to encourage you when it comes to getting your brand out there, when it comes to getting work, it really is about who you know. So don't be afraid to get out there. I know that there's introverts watching this and they think I'm really shy. Take a friend. I work with a lot of introverts, so it's okay. And just, you know, shake a hand, introduce yourself, and, you know, make yourself known. The number 3 thing about creating networking opportunities for yourself is reputation matters. And this one is really important. I talked a little earlier about this, but in work, in brand work and building your online voice, there's kind of 3 people in the picture. There's you, the creator, then there's the agency in the middle, and then there's the client. The client is talking to the agency about what they want. The agency is talking to the creator. Of the 3, the person that is stressed the most is the agency, because they're the ones that are the middlemen. They're the ones trying to make the client happy. They're the ones trying to negotiate with the creator. And so they are probably the most frustrated party of all. So what I think about is when I'm dealing with an agency, I just want to be the best, easiest, most flexible, a problem-solving person they could find. Because in my tone, in my emails, in my chats, in my conversations, I want to be like a yep, no worries kind of guy. Not saying I'm doing everything, but I have my rates, I have my expectations, but I'm like, yep, easy, we'll make it happen. Yep, easy, we'll do that. Because the more adaptable I am and the more flexible I am is going to help things get across the line for the agency, for the client. So what happens is when there's more work, there's a more job, that agency might think, oh, there's a better person. Maybe this person might be better, but we like working with Scott so much. His work's good, but he's so easy to work with. We're going to go back to Scott because they just want to see their job move forward. At the end of the day, I'm producing, I'm there, I'm providing, but I am building relationship. And reputation matters. And I see it sometimes from friends. I'm in the community and I see some of these disgruntled creators who maybe share on stories when things go south, or they share emails demanding more money. And these are tones that I would never dream to speak in. And I'm always shocked. And so I think that, your reputation will go before you. And so when you're building your pitch decks, when you're having conversations, when you're negotiating, just be a good person. Just be decide to be easy to work with, create win-wins. Always express that. You don't want to lose out. Like, we're looking for win-wins here. How can you win? How can I win? And when people feel like you're in their corner, like when you ask an agency, what do you need? What is it you're looking for? How can I help you solve a problem? They're going to be like very collaborative with you. But if you're just looking for a paycheck and you're just looking for work, that's going to be felt. And so when it comes to creating networking opportunities, it's really important because when that agency person leaves, and like I said, the world is small, they'll go to another agency, they're going to remember you and they're going to bring you into the next opportunity they have. And so I want to encourage people as creators, your reputation matters, and that too helps build your online brand. And so there we go. Your network is your net worth. You will have as much value in your art. And, if social media folded tomorrow, I'd be okay because I have a Rolodex of people that are doing awesome things and they would hire me as a content creator, or, there would be lots of opportunities for me in different roles and different capacities because I have a network and I have people all over the globe that I've built relationships with. And when they've needed favors, I've been there for them. So your network is your net worth. And I want to encourage people, keep expanding your opportunities by growing in your sphere of influence through connecting with other people. All right. I heard this said actually on TikTok, and I really liked it, so I'm stealing it. Whoever said it, we're collabing. Don't create the content, be the content. I thought that was really an interesting thought because a lot of times people, they're like, oh man, I got to create content today. No, you are the content. Whatever you're doing, there's content in your story. Whether you're a cafe owner, maybe the content is you making coffee and going into work for the day and things, and I'm learning my latte art. If you're a business owner, whatever that is you're learning, if you're, obviously, whatever it is, your life is full of content every day. I think about the guys at the camera store. You guys are being the content because you are creating assets and telling stories about what you know and the knowledge you have. And so if you're waiting to create content versus being the content, then you start to press into that more, storytelling where you're like, I'm going to take people on a journey of my life. I'm going to show people my family. I'm going to show, one time I posted a photo on stories of my family at my son's birthday party, and my son and my daughter were just like crying. Me and my wife were holding this cake, and the kids were like in chaos, and everyone related to it because like, this is so real. This is the real moment. This because we try and get the perfect family photo. It's like 1% out of 99 because the kids are so chaotic. But if you start capturing these stories and start telling them, what that does is it brings out the relatability behind you. People going, I get that. That's totally exactly my life. Like that picture is my life. And those moments are happening all the time. And if you're looking to like, I got to go to the mountains, I got to create this epic content. Yeah, that does happen. But for people that are building your story and your work and your portfolio, there's a lot of story around you at all times that we're not sharing because we're looking for the perfect. And if you're looking for the perfect, you're going to miss the gold. And so I want to encourage you, think about your strategies, and don't wait. Start sharing. We all have the ability just to share from our stories around us and share the world around you. So when I started taking, I never knew I was going to be a photographer. When we came back from Australia, it was the furthest thing from my mind. I never thought, even this world, that there would be a world of social media. Now we see it moving into Web3, and that's a really interesting conversation as well. But I just started going out and taking photos and sharing the world that is around me. Thank goodness I lived in a beautiful place, but I was connecting with people in different spheres that didn't live in such grandeur, and they were just using the world around them. And I found their art really great. Sharing the world around you is a great place to start. Start with what you have. Now, obviously, like I said, we live in a beautiful place. It's not hard to drive an hour down the road and walk into pretty much the Lord of the Rings movie set. It's pretty insane. Beautiful backgrounds, great, beautiful lakes, incredible greenery and landscapes, breathtaking. And no matter how many times I go out, I am always overwhelmed. But starting with what you have is going to help you grow into what you want to capture and create. Because you might be thinking, well, Scott, I'm watching this, but I really don't know what I want to take photos of. I don't really want to know. I don't know what to capture. Just start with what's around you. Maybe it's your home, maybe it's your aesthetic, maybe it's, whatever it is in your neighborhood. We see the humans of New York. Now that's obviously on another thing, but maybe there's stories you can tell around you that are really enticing. And it's all about how you're telling the story. So start with what you have. Number 2, don't compare yourself to others. This one is huge. Especially as creatives, we are filled with emotion. I think one thing that happens is someone gets you have to understand, when I started Instagram, I started with a whole bunch of people. I was an early adopter. But I have seen people, I've had great success and great growth, but I have seen people way far exceed me, blow up on YouTube, blow up on these social channels in ways that's kind of like blindsiding. And the natural thing we do as creatives is we compare, and we either feel discouraged or we feel motivated. But we can never let our motive be like, I need to achieve that, because that is for them at that moment. And if you start trying to just copy or emulate, it's going to be really clear and blatant. We can name a couple YouTubers where we feel like everyone's trying to be like them, and it's so clear and it's painful to watch. I think the number one thing here is find your lane and stick in it. Create the content you're passionate about, because those people blew up because that was their lane. And so find your lane, stick in it, and don't compare yourself to others. Just really keep your eye on your own prize, be consistent in your work, and create good work. I know a lot of photographers who have no social media following, but they make a lot of money because their work is very focused, it's very niched, and it's drawing people that want that specific look. And so be consistent to who you are, be authentic to who you are. And you kind of got to put up blinders and focus in on your own goal at the end of the race. And so don't compare yourself to others. And number 3 in this point, discover your own backyard. And for me, it was these beautiful mountains. But for other people, maybe you live in the prairies and you have insane sunsets. Maybe you live in older communities where there's really old buildings and warehouses, wherever it is for you, discover your own backyard. Get out there and take your camera and be like, you know what? I am just going to capture and create. Find interesting subjects, find interesting stories to tell. But everybody has an amazing backyard, and get out there and discover it. There is stories around you that are waiting to be told. All right, let's hope that this presentation keeps. For some reason, my computer is on, doesn't like it. All right. Oh, it went to thank you. It's not over. It skipped. It skipped. Don't you love technical difficulties? I don't know why it's here. We can do this one. Okay. 4 things to consider. So hopefully, I don't know if people are asking questions, but I'm just going to keep talking. 4 things to consider when it comes to building your online voice is be intentional in your storytelling. So, you don't want to just, there are times where I've just had a post ready to go and I'm just like going to throw it up because I need something. But then I'm like, you know what? I actually don't feel passionate about this. So I'm just not going to post it. You know, people can tell when you're just posting a latergram or an old thing and it doesn't feel new, you know, and people can feel that. People feel what you feel. And if you're intentional in your storytelling, people are going to feel that and they're going to resonate with it and they're going to share it and they're going to be excited by it. So be excited about your content. And when you're intentional about it, people are going to feel that. And also intentional, why am I sharing this post? Why am I giving this information? Is it to bring insight to, hey, I really discovered this cool Airbnb and I want to pass that information on to you. And people go, that's awesome. Where did you stay? How did you book it? And then it becomes valuable information. And so just be intentional in your storytelling. Think about your captions. Think about, why am I saying this? Is it helpful? Is it all about me because I need attention? Or is it all about, maybe I just need to share this moment with people? So just be intentional. Take your audience on a journey. I think they can tell where you're going. Take them on a journey. So when you go to say something a little bit deeper, they resonate with it because they'd be like, Scott, yeah, we're with you. We hear you. We understand your voice. We understand who you are. And that was a vulnerable moment. And we're with you, you know, or say, hey, everyone, I'm going on this amazing trip and I'm going to take you with me. They're like, yeah, let's go. Let's go on this journey together. Invite them in. So it's not broadcasting, but it's more invitational. And I think that will help people be excited about your content. Build real relationships offline. And sometimes when I meet people and they're like, man, that's the guy with the big following. I forget that. Like, I don't even think about that because I'm so invested into my relationships with people. I mean, I have a family. When I go home after this, I'm going to be walking into my house. My kids will be going to bed and I'll be putting my kids to bed. Yeah, you know, it's very real. And I think, you know, we got to come into this understanding that offline, we're all just humans and we're all going through ebbs and flows and people are struggling. Build real relationships offline. Start to get into the nitty gritty of the reality of life. And that's even going to help you in your storytelling when you start to share, because you don't want to, we all know we're past the fantastic plastic Instagram photos. That's why I like TikTok too. I feel like it's bringing people into that like messy house, this is my life kind of thing, organic and real, less curated. Build real relationships offline and find your point of difference. When they say when everyone zigs, you zag. And I think it's as an artist, you know, I remember being at Moraine Lake, oh man, like 2014. And the parking lot was empty. Like, this was sunrise, Moraine Lake, perfect conditions, middle of summer. Empty parking lot. Because this was you know, Instagram changed things for tourism. And I remember going there and taking a photo of the sunrise, hitting those peaks, posting this photo. And I remember being floored by this. I didn't expect it, you know? I was like, this is insane. Posted this photo, and over the years, time went on. Like, you know what I mean? Parking lot's getting fuller, people coming from all over the world. Now, Moraine Lake, like, you can't even get a parking spot. You know, late fall, 5 a.m, everyone's doing the larches. You can't even get in. So things have changed, you know, but what has come with that is we have seen the same image over and over and over. It's like scrolling through the feed. There's Moraine Lake, same picture, different edit. And it's still one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most gorgeous places in the entire earth. Whenever I go there and I see it with my own eyes again and again, I am overwhelmed by its beauty. But what's happened is people have got caught in the well, this worked, I'm going to post it. But people move on. People get used to things and they move on. And that is a beautiful place. As a creator, you've got to find your point of difference. You got to find, okay, everyone's taking that photo, but maybe if I go to Moraine Lake, I'm going to come at it from a different angle. I'm going to tell a different story. I'm going to bring my authentic self into this moment. And I'm going to figure out how I find my point of difference. What's my one thing? What's my voice? What's my, why are people following me, and how can I bring that to this place? And so when people follow me and scroll through, and they might see Moraine Lake in the background, but they feel like it's me in that story, and how does that connect to them? And so finding our point of difference, I think, is where, as creators, we come out of the woodwork a bit and breathe a bit more, and come out from that staticness as creators. And we all want to be excited about the content we're creating. So I want to encourage people, find your point of difference. What is the story you're telling? And so with that, wow, 7:49. Start here. It took me back. Start here. The ability is in the palm of your hand. You can start telling stories right here, right now. You don't have to wait for anybody to give you permission. The story is waiting to be told. There's my wife at Jasper Park Lodge. There she is. So thank you. That is my presentation. I'm going to stop my screen share and come back to you now, Dave, wherever you're at. There was a lot of information, but the whole goal there is all about a couple of things that I failed to mention is, obviously, when it comes to building your online voice, a couple of just key things to have. Obviously, a strong social media presence, having all your bios and your links, and a great website. I find a website is super helpful, whether it's a portfolio, whether it's just a contact us page, whatever it is. I feel like a strong social media presence to a website, and just having those different departments and lined up, ready to go, and that they all are telling the equal cohesive story is really important. So there you go. I'm going to stop talking and we can take Q&A.
No, that's fantastic. It was a great presentation. Now, you say you're a skeptic of TikTok.
I started out as one.
Do you know any of the dances? Be honest.
Okay, I have tried to do a dance in the mirror just to see, and I'm going to say this: they're not as easy as they look. And I realized I'm going to stick to sharing experiences.
So it comes up.
But my daughter's begging me. She's begging me to do TikToks, and especially YouTube. She wants to do these challenges that she sees these YouTubers do. And so maybe we'll start doing some YouTube challenges.
Sounds good. So a question I have is, like, how much time do you put into the social media daily or weekly? Like, how do you designate a certain time slot of your day to do it? Like, wake up, get online, post everything, or do you do it before you go to bed? Or
yeah, it's changed over the years. I definitely did it a lot heavier. And it's seasonally as well. Now with Socality and all my other work, it's pretty much that takes a lot of my time, but I'm still very active on social. I would say bad habits for sure. Getting up in the morning, I do check social. I try and post on TikTok at least once a day. Instagram, I usually post 3 or 4 times a week. And that's a mixture of reels and pictures and stories. Right now, I'm in a bit of a dry season because it's Q1, and Q1, there's not a lot that happens. I'm about to start traveling again and do some travels, and so I've got some really exciting trips that are exciting to capture coming up. And so I feel like as soon as I'm back traveling and capturing some of those experiences, you will see a heavier push for me on TikTok and Instagram because it's fresh new content. And I'm excited for those travels. But I have to be really strategic about it, because especially when I go home at night, and see the kids, and I got to try and be present, and social media is bad because it can take you down what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like a pressure to publish something every day or to get something out there every day?
I do. I do feel the pressure to be active, because when you're quiet, unfortunately, I feel there's an algorithm and it does punish you if you're too silent. And so I do feel this because it is my career. And right now where I'm at, I do feel a pressure to post and share for sure. And so I don't think it's healthy, always the healthiest, but I'm trying to, find a happy medium.
All right, it looks like your camera just froze there for a second.
I know, I'm on it.
I was wondering, like, how long did it take for you to really get out there, where your social media started working for you on its own, like gathering momentum, sort of self-fueling?
Yeah, so I started posting around 2011 on Instagram, posted for about 4 years with pretty good growth. I launched Socality in 2014, and that grew exponentially really quickly. And at the same time, my account grew as well. 2015 is when I posted for about 4 years before I really took any kind of like influencer style job. So in 2015, I started doing some brand work, and then 2016 is when it really took over my life in a good way, where the brands were there and I had some consistent work, and I had some pretty awesome projects on my hands. So I would say I posted for a good 4 years, but also you have to remember, people were still figuring social media out. Like I was calling people, and when I was talking about Socality and collective reach and sponsoring these experiences, people didn't have a clue what I was talking about because they were thinking traditional marketing. And now people have brand ambassadors and content managers and social media managers, and they understand the lingo and the language and the whole cadence of social. So it's a whole new world now. So now it's like, if someone blows up on social, they've got brand gigs right away. But back then people didn't have budgets for Instagram. So I think it took a while to land into it.
Well, I think we got to get the Russ on here, or Canon here. But you were a Canon user long before you were a Canon ambassador. So why Canon?
I was.
Yeah, and why Canon? And what has the mirrorless system done for you?
Yeah, that's such an interesting story, because when I was reached out to by Rogers, I was shooting predominantly on my iPhone. And then they asked me to shoot a commercial campaign for them. And I knew right away I had to level up, right? And so it just instantly in my mind was Canon. I didn't even think of any other brand. I just was like, that's what my brain, for some reason, had associated with beautiful imagery. So when I bought a Canon, I literally had to learn DSLR, lenses, focal lengths, everything. And then so I really learned on that. And then I went out and got the 6D, and I actually shot the whole commercial campaign on a 6D for in-store. So I just want to encourage people. 6D is still a great camera. But that's, people think, I need this, I need that. I shot a whole commercial campaign with a 24-70 and my 6D. And so that elevated my imagery, and then obviously brought more brand work. And then I moved from there into the mirrorless and the R. And then now I have the R5. I love the mirrorless because it's just more like when, the viewfinder, what you see is what you get. It just helps when you're on the fly, making sure your settings are right. I know prior you'd take a photo and your ISO was at 10,000. You didn't even know it. You're like, boom. And then you go look at the image. You're like, oh, shoot. They have.
With such good reason, and Canon's got a great lineup.
Yeah, when they introduced the R, I know that people are like, but I would say with the R5, the R6, obviously, and the lenses, the glass is insane. I've got so many. I've got the 28-70, I've got the 15-35, 7200, I've even got this little 35 macro here. And it's just, the lenses are beautiful. They're so sharp. And, when I put this one on my R5, my R5 becomes really actually compact. I like it. And unfortunately, I'm always usually have the 28-70. When I pull it out, people are like, it's like that Crocodile Dundee moment. Like, that's not a knife. This is a knife. It's kind of like, that's not a camera. This is a camera. Because it's just so big. And it's always overwhelming. But people instantly know I'm professional. But yeah. Oh, no worries. Am I meant to see you, by the way? I can't see you. I can hear you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know I went through a big, becoming the host of TCSTV was a big challenge for me. It really pushed me personally. And it's funny, actually having kids was part of it. When you get embarrassed in a mall by your kids having a meltdown and everybody's staring at you, it's really just training to become a YouTube host is really what it is, I think, actually. But did you have trouble opening up your life to the world? Like, was it a big thing? And did you and your wife have set limits of what you can share, what you can't share?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is vulnerable, especially because people love to come at you when you have growth, you know? And you're a natural target. When you're small, no one cares, right? But when you grow, people want to like, it's a competitive nature to like, you know, when we launched Socality, we had some major haters. And because in the Instagram world, when we launched Socality, I actually only had 9,000 followers. And then I started to grow. And Socality grew up right out of the gate. And we had some people that were, you know, pretty established in the Instagram world. It was their space, if you know what I'm saying. And we kind of stepped on some territory unintentionally. And I had a pretty negative interaction with one of the, you know, a pretty big OG. And I got into a call and he was just like, do I know you? And it was really condescending. And I'm like, no, and I don't think you should. Like, I'm kind of new here, you know? But I saw really quick, I think I froze again. I don't know why it does this to me. I saw really quick, you know, there are in the creative world, there are people that are going to be with you and there are going to be people who are against you. And thankfully I have more people that, you know, are with me, and I choose to be with people. Listen, you don't have to, I heard someone say this the other day, that you don't have to be everybody's best friend, you know, but you should at least celebrate the idea that people are finding community and finding their tribe. Maybe it's not your tribe, but just be thankful that people are able to share their art, they're finding community, they're getting work, and you don't have to necessarily be everybody's best friend, but just celebrate the mere idea that people can come into community, because we all need it. And so when it comes to getting out there, it is very vulnerable. You do risk it every day. Like, there are going to be people who judge you and all this stuff, but you just have to know who you are, and you have to know who in your world is with you. But I do choose to believe that there are more people out there that want you to do well than there aren't.
You know, I agree. For the most part, people are good in the world, right? But there are some haters, of course, and online, everybody sees it and everybody has it. And
For sure.
It's a big thing to open yourself up to be online to, you know, I dread the comment section sometimes when I'm looking, we post a new video, right?
It is. And I mean, thank goodness Instagram is generally a positive community. I'm not as active on YouTube, and I would like to get there, but I have seen and heard from my YouTube friends that it can be quite a space. The comments section.
So pleasantly surprised, both Evelyn and I, when we became hosts, the comments were overwhelmingly positive, and it was such a relief. It was so nice. So we do have a couple questions here, though.
Sure.
Jennings Ford says, I tend to post the Facebook albums instead of daily online. Is it better to post daily, or is it better to just post when you're ready?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you're viewing yourself. Like, if you're a content creator, you know, you are thinking about like, kind of like, I'm in the business of creating content. So there's almost an expectancy for me to be producing content and putting it out there. And however you want to build that cadence, I would encourage you, maybe if you want to build a posting schedule and go, you know what, I'm going to post on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and I'm taking the weekend off. That's how I operate. And when I post, I'm choosing to engage. I'm choosing to respond. I'm giving space and time to that. But on these other days, I'm not. But you know what? I'm also thinking about, what is my posting schedule? What's my cadence? Looking at these photos, do they look good next to each other? Does it elevate the story? Am I taking people on a journey? So I think it's really to each his own. It's how you view yourself and how you actually want to participate in the space. There should be no pressure, but at the end of the day, I mean, think of it, if you're a news agency, what do? You share news. I remember going to an event one time with a whole bunch of people around the table, and about 3 or 4 of them said they were bloggers, but none of them were blogging. They're like, yeah, I'm a blogger, but I'm not really doing it. And then another one, oh, I'm a blogger, but I haven't posted for a year. I'm thinking, you're not bloggers. You have a blog, but you're not bloggers, you know? And so it's funny how people can think, oh, I'm a blogger. You're a blogger if you're blogging. And so, you know, you're a photographer if you're taking photos. You're a YouTuber if you're making, you're a news agency if you're telling news. And so you got to just say, what do I want to do with this? And how am I going to participate in it? And then, you know, be that. And that's when you are that thing. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
I mean, if we hear the term influencer, and if I call you an influencer, do you feel that way? Do you cringe? Do you think, oh man, I hate this term, or I love this term?
I hate the word influence. I like to call myself a content creator because I'm creating content. I'm sharing my experiences. Whether people view me as an influencer or not, maybe I am influencing people because of the story I'm telling. That's fine. But I like to view myself as a content creator. It's a less pressure.
And Ember Sky Media says, does sticking to a cohesive color space with your work more important than, or is subject matter more important? Like, I guess creating a kind of a look or a style.
Ooh, I think they go both hand in hand because I can tell. I had someone say years ago, I can tell your photos when they come up on my feed. And I understand what they say because when I'm scrolling my feed, I recognize without even seeing the username whose that photo is because of their edit, their colors, just that whole, some people like grain, some people like no grain, so I think they go hand in hand. Subject matter is, so for me, if you go on my feed, you're going to see mountains, you're going to see nature, you're going to see experiences that, travel and tourism, that's what you're going to see on my feed. And with that, there's a color because I tend to shoot sunrise, sunsets, right? And so I like, the colors those brings. You're not going to see a lot of mood, necessarily heavy mood on our grays. You're going to see brights, blues. I love blues and oranges. I love, green. And so you're going to see bright, you're going to see vibrant, but that's because I like to also bring a happy tone. But some of my friends are really like moody, right? It's all mood. But then it depends where you live too. Like people that live in Seattle tend to get like that Seattle mood. And so, but I would say it actually goes hand in hand, defining your colors, your edit, and then the story you're telling. But cohesive is important. And I think looking at your current grid, like if you're in a winter story, don't then post a summer photo, think about, okay, I'm in winter now. So I actually have to think about that when I post a winter shot, when it's winter in Alberta, it's like, hey, I'm in winter now. And that's the story I'm telling until I'm out of here, and so just kind of go with the seasons as well.
Mark Knows Houston Real Estate Video says he sees some humor in you. You're a fun guy. You're enjoying some stuff. Do you post bloopers? Do you try and show that part of your personality off?
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. I am trying to find that rhythm, to be honest, because I keep getting, every time I talk to people, especially YouTubers like Scott, you need to be on YouTube. And I just think, man, I don't know if I have the mental capacity for it because I'm already TikTok and Instagram and then Socality. But people always say, especially when they hang out with me, I tend to say some pretty funny things, apparently. And so they're like, oh man, you should do YouTube. You should do YouTube. But then at the same time, I'm trying to find that balance because I want to be like, it's almost like I'm seriously funny, like I'm serious about things, but I'm also funny. And so maybe I just need to turn on the camera and start talking and create YouTube. And that will make my daughter happy. But I've heard people say that I should do YouTube because I'm apparently funny, but I should do some more. I take this challenge on. Some way, somehow, I got to find an outlet for it.
So you've been doing a lot of photography, and with Instagram, you can post stories and stuff. Are you switching over more and more to video? Or are you finding that more of a process for you and a more time-consuming aspect?
Yeah, I find like TikTok and Instagram Reels have really allowed me to create video. Unfortunately, it's more on mobile device because it's so accessible. And I find I have insiders that say the algorithm favors that mobile content. It's just so easy to do. So I'm with photography. Obviously, I shoot every single photo on my camera, on my Canon. I am not a videographer. So I don't shoot video on my camera. If I shoot video, it's on my phone. It's mobile content. That's really just kind of like experiential reel. Think TikTok Reels. It's just kind of like snackable. But anything that's shot on my camera is all my photos are on my camera. But I'm not by any means a videographer. I'm not putting my R5 on a stabilizer. I'm not running around. That's not me. There are people that are very gifted at that, and I tend to work with them on projects.
Well, I think you've nailed a few really key points there. I mean, being authentic with who you are, figuring out what your style is. I know I kind of went through that when I became host of the channel. I had thought, do I need to reinvent myself? And I sometimes wonder, should I do that? If I'm going to become an influencer, do I do I reinvent who I am? But I realized I needed just to be me. And I'm glad that you mentioned it multiple times, right? Be authentic to who you are.
Totally.
Do the stuff you love to do. Shoot the stuff you love to shoot, because people can kind of spot if you're not digging it. If you're not really into it, they're going to follow through with that. So,
you have to commit to it. You have to keep it up. right? And if it's not in you, then it's not going to be there.
Well, thank you so much for tonight's talk. It really opened up some things. I know I need to follow up on my website and get my Instagram game back on par, but
yes,
I don't
Dave,
know.
I'm going to go Google it.
I'm going to start chasing. Yeah, don't Google my website. Don't Google it. Right? But I started following you on Instagram tonight, so
nice.
I expect to follow back. And
yes,
I want to thank Russ for joining us in the chat room there. You for joining us in your house there, not too far away from here, and everybody online who's participating tonight. Hope you has learned a lot and got a lot out of this. And we'll catch you again next time, guys.
Thanks to the Camera Store and Canon for having me. Everyone have a great night.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you.